Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. It's been a while since I've done a video. Sometimes life interferes with your chest. That's the way it goes. Anyway, this is a game I thought was really interesting. It's from the 103rd British Championship. And it's between David Howell as white and Keith Arkell as black. Let's get to it. It's going to be a Scandinavian, which is what I play. That's not the reason why I picked it, but it's an interesting game. But Arkell is rated about 24.55, and David Howell is 26.63. I think David can get into the 2700 club, as they say, very easily. You know, a lot of these guys, they don't play chess for a living, like a lot of the top players. Like Luke McShane is a perfect example in the UK. Probably the best amateur in the world. Anyway, let's get to it. Howell is white and Arkell is black. Scandinavian. Now, queen takes. Interesting. What I usually do is knight to f6. But queen takes is just as good. Knight. Queen goes back to d6. Pretty much standard stuff. We'll go through the opening here. c6. That's to stop this knight from getting in here and being a pest. Knight up. Knight. f4. Interesting move there by David. It's one of the top choices on the computer. Knight to c4 is the best move, I think. And f4 is a close second. f4, e6. g4. David's going for it. I'm not sure what the standings are currently. This is round 5 in the British Championship. Whether David is just going for it or what, I'm not sure where he is in the standings, but it looks like he certainly is in this game. Queen to c7. g5. Knight. Now, it shows you where the knight wants to go. Wants to go to e7 and end up on f5. And that would be a very good spot for that knight. Knight d4. Black's pretty cramped. Knight d7. Wants to bring that knight around. Bishop b3. Then the knight goes there. And David allows the knight to take the bishop if he wants. He doesn't, but that's interesting. He would get rid of that bishop. Now, technically, that's his bad bishop because of the dark squared pawns in the center. But Queen a5 check. Pawn up. Now, what I don't like about this so far is white's king is so exposed. There's a lot going on in the middle of this board here. There's a lot of knights taking up a lot of squares. It's starting to get complicated. Bishop e7, bishop c4. h6, that was interesting. Now, I think knight takes the bishop. Or excuse me, knight takes knight for black. It's probably the way to go. Get rid of that, really, this monster knight. Actually, they're both monsters, but this one here is especially tough. You don't want to go f6, of course. So he goes h6 instead. And David just pushes the pawn. He's thinking, beautiful. You go here, this pawn's right down your throat. Knight takes first, pawn takes. Pawn takes. And David goes right into it. Castle's long. Really nice open file here for the rook. Black's king's a little shaky. Bishop d7 finally develops the last piece. Rook comes over, hitting the pawn. And black just castles. It gets out of the way. White takes the pawn. The knight to h4. Then, of course, David saw that. Knight takes. Queen takes. Now, technically, white is down the exchange. It's almost a point and score. My computer's not off screen. Black seems okay here. I don't think that score of almost a point is even accurate. Rook over. Queen takes the pawn. Queen a4. Knight d2 is getting a little bit scary. Maybe he wants to bring the knight here, or he's going to protect the bishop. Bishop f8, queen f7. The little bit of advantage white had is slowly deteriorating. c5. He hits the queen. Queen goes to c6. Now, I think black's okay here. White's got a knight and a pawn for the rook. a4. King to b8. I call that a grandmaster move. He's just getting out of the way. And he moves bishop f2, which is very interesting. And that was one of the computer choices as well. Maybe he's trying to get the bishop. And the computer shows this position as dead even. And I mean dead even, 0.00. Rook, excuse me, bishop e7. Rook to g1. He's bringing the other rook around, his only rook. Queen a6. Brings the rook back. Bishop takes. And then he hits the queen instead. Queen goes to b6. Bishop e3. So he gave up that pawn. Bishop h4. Looks like black's coming to life. And in fact, the computer bears that out. It's got over a point advantage. Rook g1. Big, big, big mistake. Rook f1 was the correct move. Then after bishop b5, rook. Bishop takes, queen takes. Black's still good, but after rook to g1, bishop f2. Queen g6. That was the move that. Now, for those of you that are wondering, bishop f2 is what the computer is calling for. Then after bishop takes f2, rook takes d2. That's a hell of a combination there. You can go through it. You can stop the video now. There's a bunch of different scenarios. Really don't have time to go through them all. But bishop takes bishop is not good for black. But he goes queen to c6 instead. After queen h5, bishop e7, and black's let white off the hook. Queen takes, rook. Rook takes, and b3. And it's not a fortress by any means, but I think white's okay here. In fact, he's got a knight and a pawn for the rook, and he's got like a 2/3 of advantage in pawn score from the computer. Bishop b5, bishop takes, queen takes e6. Now you're going to see here pretty soon things start going a little bit wacky. Rook to e8, king to c2, bishop f8, queen to d5, queen to a5. They're just maneuvering around now. But that knight c4, that's a good spot for that knight. Queen a2 check, knight comes back, a6, c4. It's going to close it up. Queen to g6 check. King moves up. Out of checks. Queen f5. What to do? What to do? These are the positions that make me crazy. David decides to offer the trade of queens. But black says no way. Knight d1. King c7. Knight f2. Queen h5. Knight e4. That knight's been all over the place. Finally got a decent square. Rook to d8, hitting the queen. Queen comes back. Now rook to d1. He's infiltrated white's back rank. Rook e1, hitting the bishop. Bishop takes the pawn. Rook to e2, hitting the queen. But David figured this out here, and that was the mistake. That intermezzo move. Black saw hitting the queen. But bishop checks, and that's the mistake. He has to play, black has to play, bishop takes, d6 check. King moves up, and it's over. Now, it's funny. I got the computer on off screen. It shows mate in 15. I don't think David figured that out, but... So let's go through the end here. Queen comes over, and now he zeroes in for the kill. That intermezzo move with the queen. Pawn takes check. King. We'll go through the last few moves here. I call a few spite checks. Checks him for a while, and the king gets in. King takes the pawn. Queen of d7, and the last killer blow. Queen checks. Interesting game. I think both sides played not that great. I liked it because of the ending. And there it is. I thought it was a really interesting game from round 5 in the 103rd British Championship being played in the UK. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry that I haven't done any videos in a while. Been really busy in my business life. I run a convenience store and a redemption center, and takes up a lot of my time this time of year. Is my busy time. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed it. Look for more videos to come. Singfield Cup is coming up in a couple of weeks. Now I'm going to cover that extensively. And as I always say, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.